This is a story that originally comes from India, and that's about all I know about it. Once upon a time, there was a baby, and this baby, she was as cute as could be, and her name was Talk, but like tick-tock. But the strange thing about Talk is that she never cried. Never. She would just lie there in her bed, looking like this. She just lay there and never cried. And if you know anything about babies, you know that babies cry, not talk. And maybe you can guess why she didn't cry. You might guess because she was just happy, or because she never had anything that she needed, or because everybody loved her. None of those things are true. The reason she didn't cry was that she was too lazy to cry. It was too much work. She just lay there in her bed all day long. Well, she got bigger and lazier and bigger and lazier. And after a while, her grown-ups didn't call her Talk anymore. They called her Lazy Talk. And she got bigger and lazier and bigger and lazier until one day, maybe she was, 7, 8 years old. She was sitting by the side of the river. And from the other side of the river, a willow tree spoke to her. Yeah. And that willow tree said, "Hey, Lazy Talk, want to see how to get your food without doing any work?" But Lazy Talk was too lazy to answer. She just went, "Eh." "Well, come on over here," said the tree. "That's too far," said Lazy Talk. "You come over here." So the tree leaned its long branches over the river, and the branches dangled there in front of Lazy Talk. And they said, "Lazy Talk, break off some of these branches, and we'll show you what to do." Lazy Talk said, "That's too hard. You break yourself off." So sure enough, the branches kind of shook and trembled and broke some of themselves off right onto the ground at Lazy Talk's feet. "Now," said the branches, "pick us up and make us into a basket. Weave us into a basket, and you can get your food without doing any work." Lazy Talk said, "I'm too tired. Weave yourself." So sure enough, those branches picked themselves up and kind of wove and folded and shaped and made themselves into a basket with a nice handle, a big basket like this. "Now," said the basket, "Lazy Talk, just take me out by the side of the road and you can get your food for free." "It's too far," said Lazy Talk. "Take yourself out there." So the basket picked itself up and transported itself out to the side of the road, and it waited. And it didn't have very long to wait, because along came a farmer. And the farmer looked at the basket and said, "Well, what a lovely basket. I can use this basket to carry my goods to the marketplace." And he filled up that basket with bananas and peaches and pineapples and raspberries and cherries and strawberries and melons. He started walking toward the market, but he didn't get very far, when all of a sudden he just got tired. He got so tired, he lay down. And as soon as he fell asleep, the basket jumped up. It ran to Lazy Talk. It said, Lazy Talk, you want to see what I brought you?" "It's too hard. What is it?" "I brought you some food. Here, take it." "It's too much work. Just pour it in my mouth." "Are you sure?" said the basket. "Uh-huh." "Ah!" And the basket lifted itself up into the air and began to pour some of those peaches and bananas and strawberries and raspberries and melons and pineapple. It was delicious, pouring that right into Lazy Talk's mouth. And every day the basket poured a little more food into her mouth. At the end of a week, the basket was empty. It went out to the side of the road again. It knew there was no point asking Lazy Talk again. It waited by the side of the road, and who should come along but a baker. "Oh, Joe, what a beautiful basket. It's just what I need to carry my goods to the marketplace." Took that basket, filled it up with bread, muffins, cookies, pies, and donuts. Started walking toward the market, but hadn't gone far. When he got tired, fell asleep. And when he did, the basket jumped up and ran to Lazy Talk. Lazy Talk, Lazy Talk, you want to see what I brought you? No, it's too much work. Just pour it in my mouth. Are you sure? Yes. The basket lifted itself up and began to pour some of that bread, muffins, cookies, cake, donuts right into Lazy Talk's mouth. It was delicious. And every day the basket poured a little more food into Lazy Talk's mouth until it was empty. After about a week, it went out to the side of the road and waited just like before. And along came a dairymaid. What a beautiful basket. I could carry my goods to the marketplace in this basket, she said. She filled the basket up with milk, cheese, yogurt, ice cream. Started walking toward the market. But sure enough, you know what happened. She fell asleep. And when she did, the basket jumped up, ran to Lazy Talk. Lazy Talk, you want to see what I brought you? No, just pour it in my mouth. Okay. Right into her mouth went the milk, cheese, yogurt, and ice cream. It was delicious. Now, every week, that basket would go out to the side of the road and steal more food. And every week, Lazy Talk got bigger and lazier and bigger and lazier. Till one day, maybe a year later, the basket was sitting by the side of the road. And who should come along but that first farmer? You remember that first farmer, right? That farmer looked at the basket, looked up and down the road and said, wait a minute, I think this is the basket that stole that food from me. I know what to do. He took that basket, he filled it up with snakes, flies, worms, mosquitoes, frogs, ants, wasps, bees, hornets, and scorpions. Put the basket down and walked away. And when he did, the basket jumped up and ran to Lazy Talk. Lazy Talk, you want to see what I brought you? It's too hard. Just pour it in my mouth. Are you sure? Uh-huh. The basket lifted itself up into the air and began to pour some of those spiders and snakes and worms and flies and mosquitoes right into Lazy Talk's mouth. And the first thing out of that basket was a bee, and the bee landed right on her nose. And she looked at the bee, she looked into the basket pouring into her mouth, and she went, ah! And she got up, she started to walk away. But the basket came after her. She started moving faster. The basket moved faster. She started to run, and the basket ran too. And the last time I heard, Lazy Talk was still running with that basket behind her. But after all these years, I don't think they call her Lazy Talk anymore. And that is the story of Lazy Talk.